Aloha everyone, this is Grace Christian with another episode of The Healed Self, Healing Your Body, Soul, and Life with Grace. So today I want to talk about why you don't trust your intuition and how you can. So in doing this work as a medical intuitive for over 20 years, I've talked to thousands of people about their intuition. And almost all of them say one of the reasons they don't trust their intuition is they just don't know what their intuition is. So they don't know if the information that's coming to them is their thoughts or their ego or what it is. So they're just not sure what their intuition is. So let me tell you what I consider our intuition is. I believe that our intuition is the wisest part of us. It's our connection to a greater soul essence. And it's our inner knowing that gives us the wisest information we could possibly gather as we're walking through life and facing challenges. So I know a lot of people were brought up to believe that information from your intuition is just airy-fairy, or it isn't valuable information because it's not logical or reasonable. And yet, yes, our intuition is beyond time and space. It is nonlinear, non-logical information. And yet, it's information that sees the bigger picture of who we are as a soul. And with that knowledge, we have the kind of tools that let us make a very well-informed decision, one that isn't based just on logic. Because logic is only as great as what our thinking is, right? Okay, so I know a lot of people also tell me that they feel like they can't trust their intuition because, they think their intuition should never lead them to a challenge. But you know what? Life is full of challenges. It always has been, and it always will be. We are here facing challenges and working through them. And so we can't expect our inner knowing or the wisest part of us to lead us to only beneficial or pleasant outcomes. It's going to lead us to face the challenges that are there for us to face, but with a knowing that is far greater than anything we could ever get with just our brain or our mind. Because the truth is that we can never think hard enough to think up the right answer. It just isn't possible. Whereas our wisdom, our inner wisdom that's connected to our soul essence, that is wise. So let's talk about how you can learn to trust your intuition. Okay, so, one of the things that I found that is the biggest help in getting in touch with our intuition is to spend time in the silence. Now, I call meditation, or types of meditation, going into the silence. There are many ways to meditate or go into the silence. Probably the best way I know is to sit down, close your eyes, and get relaxed. So let me say something about closing your eyes, because when we have our eyes open, we are focusing. Whether we want to or not, our brain is focusing and analyzing everything that's coming in through our eyes. And so we're going to get information that's coming that we're focusing on and we're seeing, and our brain analyzes. We're going to get information through our periphery. And in the whole time, our brain is going to be at a certain brainwave level that allows us to analyze all of the data that's coming in. However, when we close our eyes, we drop into a different brainwave level. So in that brainwave level, we don't have to be analyzing what our eyes are seeing, the information that's coming in, the input that's coming in. Which is great, because instead we can just be in a place of the void. And the void is going to bring up some things, right? It's going to bring up images from our memories. It's going to bring up thoughts, right? So we're sitting there, we have our eyes closed, we're relaxed. And on the screen, kind of behind our eyes, that darkness that has a lot of different shapes, are going to come thoughts constantly as we're sitting there in the silence. And those thoughts are going to be about everything, right? Oh, why didn't you buy celery at the grocery store? Oh, what you should have said to her when she said that to you. Every little thought that is constantly going on in the backdrop of our life is going to come up. And what I say to you is, when you're sitting in the silence with your eyes closed and those thoughts come up, just let them go by like they're clouds in the sky. You're not going to analyze them. You're not going to imagine what you're going to do about it later. Get up and write celery on your grocery list. You're just going to let those thoughts go by, knowing that if you really need to see or know or experience that thought again, believe me, it'll come up again. Your goal is just to sit in silence, expecting. And what are you expecting? Well, what you're expecting is to make a connection. Make a connection with your soul essence. And all you're doing is just sitting there in anticipation. You don't have to do anything. Just sit there. Try it every day for 5 minutes. Okay, so this is the best way I know to cultivate your intuition, is just sitting in the silence for 5 minutes a day to start. Let the thoughts go by. Now, when our intuition does show up, it's going to show up as the first split-second thought or inspiration that comes to you. And so what I say to people is, look, if right after the very first split-second thought comes up, you have another thought, which is, no, you can't do that, be logical. That's your thinking. That is not your intuition, okay? Now, men call their intuition their gut instincts, right? It's that feeling that they get in their body, or just a knowingness that they get in their innerness, the inner of who they are. You can call your intuition your gut instincts, but you've got to get in touch with it first. So cultivating it means, A, going into the silence every day at least for 5 minutes, without any analyzing, without any judging. B, to pay attention to the first split-second thought or answer that comes to you. It could be just an inspiration that comes out of nowhere. So let's say in your mind you're wondering, what should I do about this? I've got to make a decision today, and I've got to decide what I'm going to do. Am I going to take option A or option B? And your very first split-second thought is your intuition talking to you. So I want to say, if your second split-second thought is going to be your thinking. I want you to get out of that. Forget about what your thinking says. You already know what your thinking says because you've been mulling it over and over and over, probably for a very long time. Your thinking isn't going to come up with anything new. However, if you have inspiration, that's your intuition, okay? So let's say you happen to notice that you get an inspired idea, and you hear yourself say something like, well, that doesn't make very much sense. That doesn't seem very reasonable. It's a pretty good chance that that's your intuition then, because often your intuition, if not always, shows up as illogical or unreasonable, and it might even scare you. But the truth is that it's the wisest part of you, trying to prompt you to know the truth. Okay? So try this out and let me know. So I have another YouTube video online about how to determine your next move in life. If you're trying this and you're still struggling with getting in touch with your intuition, I want you to watch that video, how to determine your next move in life, and use the technique that I created that has helped people successfully in making decisions in their life. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to get a session with me, you can go to my website, gracemedicalintuitive.com. Please comment, share, like, and give me your feedback. All right. So thank you for tuning in, and aloha.